Welcome back to the Red Path. Today we're going to talk about how I build my lists. Welcome back. So today we're going to have a little chat about how to build a list and some tips I think I might have that might help you in how you build your list. This is probably aimed more at newer players or players just getting into the competitive scene, stuff like that. First off, I want to apologise. Had a real busy week this week and haven't had time to make a normal video. Got a lot of stuff going on right now with the channel. Obviously, Dara joined last week, formally at least. We've been chatting back and forth. We've got some stuff in the works, trying to kind of pin down a time where we can do a chat video, talk about some stuff. I know he's working on some great hobby stuff right now as well. But yeah, with the Carpathia campaign, trying to organise that. I'm doing 10 TTS games for charity because Mike Pestilence from Warhammer called me out, so I've got to face him, but I need a little bit more practice because my 9th game isn't very strong right now, and I want to work on it. I've got the list, more or less, that I want to use, and basically put on Instagram and in the Discord that 10 people fight me on Tabletop Simulator, and if they win, I'm going to pay $8 to a charity of their choice. If I win, I'm going to add that $8 and keep mounting it up until someone beats me, and whoever beats me first will get all that money to their charity. If somehow I win 10 games, which isn't going to happen, I'll pick a charity and donate $80 to it, I guess. I've already got one in mind, but so I've just got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and had some personal stuff going on as well, so didn't really have time to make a proper video for this weekend. Hence, you get to see my face. It's just a lot easier and quicker for me to just record like this and kind of talk rather than doing all the editing and stuff like that. So yeah, sorry about that. You just got to deal with this. I do want to give one quick reminder. We do have the competition right now where you can win a commission painted Be'lakor. You must have seen me talking about it. I've been posting on Instagram, on Facebook, on the YouTube, community tab and stuff like that. Paintsmith Neil is doing a really good job. He's already got 3 of the wing panels, possibly a little bit more by this point, painted, and it just freehand. It just looks amazing. And remember, all you got to do is donate $5 or local equivalent to Save the Children, and the link to the Tiltify will be in the description below. I'd really appreciate you considering donating. That's all you have to do. You haven't got to subscribe, you ain't got to like, you ain't got to comment, you haven't got to do anything like that. Literally donate $5 and use an email that I may need to contact you on if you win. Random drawing. So yeah, links in the description. So let's talk about lists. Obviously, this is kind of a theory hammer thing, right? Theorizing your list, conceptualizing it, writing it, is an important part of the meta game, I guess we'd say. It's no substitute for playing the game, for testing your list out on the table, but theory hammer and list writing is a very important skill, and something that you can use to enhance your game knowledge, your army knowledge of your particular list, its strengths, weaknesses, maybe units you haven't previously thought about or considered as something you might take on. It's a good thing to do when you're not playing a game. I mean, we can think about like the top tier players, right? The people that literally live and breathe 40k, like they work, like the Art of War team, for instance, John Lennon and Nick and Mark and all these guys that it is essentially their job to play and do well at 40k. They play, I don't know how many games they play a day or a week, but it's a lot, and it's the dream. But they also are going to spend a lot of time sitting around talking about theories about, what if this unit works with this unit, and in this particular list, what about this stack of buffs we can pull off, and sitting there on Battlescribe or the Warhammer app and just thinking about things like that. You can't play 24/7. At some point you have to write the list, and you want to put the thought in based on your experience and a little bit of thought process going into it. And that is an integral part of being a successful player, of producing a list that will do well on the table. Sure, you can just take a net list, and you know, no disrespect if you do. I'm absolutely influenced by every World Eaters player, whether it's someone like Mark Perry or Dara or Victor or Dylan recently. You know, all these people, they have an element that, you know, makes me consider something. And you know, you can see from my list where I put the video up a couple of weeks ago, there's bits from loads of players. It's not unique to me. I'm just borrowing other people's ideas and trying to make it something that will work for me. So yeah, so writing the list is important, right? And I want to give you, fortunately enough, a list of 8 tips, which is when I was actually breaking down my process for this. It turned out that I actually have pretty much 8 steps that I go through when I'm writing a list. So I'm going to share those with you. Hopefully they'll be bullet pointed up here as I talk about them. But yeah, so I'm going to go through those with you, and maybe there might be a little something that you can consider. You know, again, certainly for newer players or players just getting into competitive play, might be something in there. If not, no harm, no foul, right? So the first thing I do, and this is like the first step on the road, and you normally only take it once or very rarely when there's like a major rules change or a codex or something like that. I come up with a core list, right? And I'm talking about Battlescribe here because even though I actually subscribe to the Warhammer app, I still don't use it very often. I'm just used to Battlescribe. But I create a core list. I find the units that I'm always going to take, the ones that any type of strategy I'm going to use are going to be built around. For me, that's 4 squads of 5 berserkers and KHORNE, and as of recently, 2 termite drills. Every list I now think about has those units. I may add more berserkers. I'm obviously going to add another HQ at least, and heavy support and all these things. Every list I know has these because that is my core. I'm playing World Eater, so I've got to have KHORNE. Well, I've certainly got to have berserkers, and I always run KHORNE, at least at the moment. And it's really become apparent that the termite drills are the way to go for transports, and we need transports. So for me, that's my core. Let's see, I should be able to. Okay. So you should see on screen here, I've actually got my PC version of Battlescribe up. This is my core list. So you'll see I've got KHORNE, 4 squads of berserkers, and 2 drills. Comes out to 851 points. So, you know, it's just under half of my army for a 2,000 point list. But what I do with this, I've saved it. You can't actually see on the screen, but it's called, oh yeah, here we go, World Eaters Core. That's what it is. So anytime I want to create a new list, I just save as, which should be this one, and let's say, you can't see the dialogue boxes here, but let's say I want to make it on a theme of, I don't know, Helldrakes. I don't know why I'd do that, but just save it as World Eater Helldrakes, and then let's open that up, and you should see a name change here in a second. No, yeah, okay, it didn't update for some reason, but I'm currently, this is a new list, and you know, I would go ahead and add some Helldrakes. This list is never going to get used, certainly not at the moment, and I would expand on this list from there. But so build yourself a core list. If you're a World Eaters player, it's going to involve berserkers, probably KHORNE, and transports. Whether you prefer rhinos or something else, that's up to you. No, I mean, this is your list, right? This is what I choose. So that's the first tip. Build yourself a core list, and whenever you create a new list, you've got, you know, in this case, almost half the army prepared for you. You're going to save it as a new name, and then you're going to add your new stuff to it, right? The next thing I do, and I'll demonstrate this here in a second, is I'll create 3 or 4 variations, right? If I'm thinking of the list, like I want to include predators, right? Which was something I messed around with, but certainly a lot in 8th edition. The triple predator kill shot with KHORNE, right? I'll create 3 or 4 versions, add my 3 predators, and then like on version 1, I'll add in, you know, some Hellbrutes or something. Version 2, I'll add in bikes, and I'll kind of build each one up to 2,000 points and, you know, play with each one until I find the one that really kind of feels like the one, right? So let's just go ahead and open up. Don't want to save Helldrake. No. Here's my Predator list. So it's not complete because I just created it for this example because I don't have a real Predator list at the moment. But, you know, it's got my core stuff plus a Dark Apostle with the Illusory Supplication. And then down here, 3 Predators with Heavy Bolters and the Autocannon. So I've got this list ready to go should I need it. And then obviously I've got my Berserkers and KHORNE in there as well, and 2 Termites. And this is 1,400 points. I do keep getting tempted to run the Predators again. I do like them, but not enough right now. So, and then let's look at another list quickly. Here's a Hellbrute variant, which I'm keeping this one in my pocket because I'm very confident that Hellbrutes are going to be good for us soon, like when our book drops. You're not seeing them much in Death Guard because they've just got better options. At least as far as I'm aware anyway, from all the lists I've looked at. But I think for us, for World Eaters especially, the direction I imagine we'll go in, even if it's not good, it's going to be better than what we've got. I think Hellbrutes are going to be a winner for us. The -1 to damage, the probable changes to Crazed, and the Fire Frenzy strap. I like them. And at the moment, I think the Multi-Melter and probably the Fist, but I've got Scourges equipped here, I think. Oh no, Fist, okay. Yeah, probably the Fist and the Molten Melter. I don't know, this may change if the stats change at all, points changes, things like that. But then, you know, you'll see here I've got my Raptors, Termites, Raptors, Hellbrutes, and, you know, Exalted Champion in there, and this is 1,400 points as well. So I've got like 3 or 4 lists on the PC because I'm normally on my phone with Battlescribe. And, you know, when I'm at break at work or, you know, any other place you might be using your phone, sit around, mess around, and just have these lists on the go, built from your core, and you just mess with them, right? You add a unit here, you adjust some points, you adjust some weapons, you keep playing with them. Eventually, you start, not only are you learning your army more, because, you know, tell me what the leadership of Chaos Spawn is. I ain't got a clue, but the more you look at that data sheet when you add it in, this information seeps in, and it helps you later on because that's, you know, 10 seconds you're not spending looking through the book or looking on your phone in a potentially competitive high stakes game. So that's one benefit of constantly playing with your codex basically in this format. But also, you know, sometimes it'll unlock a little synergy in your brain. You're like, okay, so what if, you know, I run 3 Hellbrutes with Fists and Melters up the board, I stick KHORNE in the middle, those Melters suddenly become pretty accurate, and, you know, they're going to be devastating. You know, you start to get these little thoughts, right? So have a lot of different lists, and don't be afraid of doing some weird shit. Don't worry about throwing in, you know, 3 Helldrake, or well, it'd have to be 2 Helldrakes or whatever. Just because it's something that no one else is doing successfully right now doesn't mean you can't make it successful. You might find a way to make Chosen good. It might happen. Could be you, right? So that's the second tip. Have different variations, even if it's one you're not particularly wanting to use. Have it on the back burner. Get to know your units that way. It's a really good way of doing that. So the third thing I like to do, and this I kind of alluded to this at the beginning, is talk to other people. You know, like obviously if you're following this channel, there's a good chance if you're watching this video you're in the Discord or on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. And, you know, we're always having little conversations about what units to use and what's good right now, or what's a good weapon option, or should I do this or that. Discord is a really good resource for that. But talk to other people, ask your friends, or ask fellow players at your gaming store, or come and ask in the Discord or whatever. Bring your list up and say, look, I really like this idea, but I can't quite, you know, get the last couple pieces together. What do you think? Is there something I could change? Someone will come in and say, oh yeah, I really like that. I've tried something like that before, but, you know, I did it this way. And then, you might have that kind of epiphany moment, right? So always talk to other people if you can. You know, if you're watching this, you've got internet access. There's no reason why you shouldn't be in the Discord chatting about this stuff, right? But yeah, use other people as a resource, and you know they're going to likewise use you, because as you build experience and knowledge about your army, you're going to be able to offer that advice to other players, whether new or someone like myself, reasonably experienced. I'm still learning stuff all the time. Every conversation I have, I'm like, okay, that's a good point. You know, mate, I didn't see it like that way before. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to do that, but I'll think about it, right? Had my mind changed on termites. I just wasn't sold on them for probably the last couple of years, and it took a while. I got a thick skull, but it got through, and I wish I'd listened earlier. But okay, so yeah, so number 3, talk to other people. Get other people's opinions, advice, experience. You don't have to listen, but you should, or you don't have to act on it, but you should listen and, you know, run it through your own brain, okay? So the next thing I do, once I've got my 3 or 4 variations, I've talked to different people, and you know, I'm now is where you get to your specificity, right? You're drilling down. You know, I've got my Hellbrute list, my Predator list, and my Helldrake list, right? Well, I do like the Hellbrutes, but I don't think I need 3. But I do need 3 Predators because of the way Killshot works. So, you know, do the numbers, add up the math, and okay, I can take 3 Predators and I can take 2 Hellbrutes, but then that leaves Calm. He's not really buffing the Hellbrutes if he's sitting back with the Predators. So maybe I need like a Demon Prince here. Demon Prince would be pretty nasty with, you know, 2 Hellbrutes. Refine down to 1 list. Get the best bits of every list you've got, or that you're taking seriously, and put them into 1 list. You know, make a brand new list from your core, right? Save from your core, and put the best bits in. Don't worry about going over the points at this stage as well. If you know 2,300 points, saying that's fine. Put the things you like from each list into 1, and there you'll scale it back. You'll sort of do a process of elimination. You do your pros and your cons, and okay, maybe I have to drop down to 1 Hellbrute, or you know what, the Predators they're not efficient enough. I'm just going to scrap them and, you know, figure out something else. And this is the one. This is, you know, like consider it like, you know, a sculptor. They've got 4 blocks of marble or something, right? I shouldn't be doing this kind of analogy, but whatever. And you know, they're deliberating, and you know, they do some testing on each one, and you know, they finally find the one that's like the best for what their vision is. This is that stage. You're now going to really start chipping away and getting the form of what you want, right? So that's the 4th thing. At this point, once you've discussed it, you've explored lots of options, you specify to 1 list, and this is your work. This is what's going to become your list. Following that, as you're looking at all the different units, and you know you could be a couple 100 points over, this isn't a problem. You're going to look for weaknesses, inefficiencies in that list, specific within it. Okay, don't worry about what other people might bring to the table. You're going to want to look at, if say you're running a Dark Apostle with Illusory Supplication, which is pretty good. What is he giving that to? If you're running Forge Fiends, there's no point in having that. You know, if you're all demonic units that have a 5-up invuln naturally, or lots of units which, you know, like lots of HQs with 4-ups like Chaos Lords and stuff, you don't need that 5-up invuln, so it's a wasted synergy. It's you've got points spent essentially on something you don't need. So you might swap it out for the Benediction of Darkness or something, right? You're going to start fine-tuning to make sure every part of that list works together as much as possible. Like talking about the Predators, I'm not going to run 2 Predators because they're not worth taking by themselves. But you take 3 right now, they're not bad, not great, but they're not bad, especially with Calm, because of the rerolls and because of kill shot and because of strategic reserves. The problem with running them in 8th was if you didn't go first, your opponent could just kill 1 and the game, you know, that resource was wasted. Now, yes, we've got to spend CP, but you can put them in reserve. Turn 2, you know, bring them in your deployment zone. They've got 48 range on everything. As long as you can pick some line of sight and stick Calm behind them, you know, form a nice little triangle shape with them, and you've got some battlefield dominance there. But without KHORNE, not really. With only 2 predators, not really. You need that entire synergy there for whatever your particular plan is to work. So look for those things. Look for the weaknesses, the weak links in the chain, where your list doesn't quite work, where there's a problem. We'll go into that in the next stage, really. But you're also going to look for, do you have overly redundant units, right? This is something that I've just dealt with my competitive list. I've actually taken out my squad of Red Butcher Terminators. Don't take that as advice, because I've got a very specific list that's built for my playstyle. Red Butcher Terminators are definitely a top 3 World Eaters unit. Depending on your playstyle, they could be number 1. No doubt about it, they are ridiculously efficient once they meet combat. For me, they didn't work with my playstyle and the way I want to play the game. They could certainly work in my list under a better or different general, but not with me. I've changed them. I'm going back to a Terminator Lord. You can argue with me. It's fine. I don't care. But so I found that they were redundant because I had my Dakar, because I ran them with combi bolters and lightning claws. My Dakar was covered with my bikes and my quad heavy bolters. My combat was covered with my berserkers, with KHORNE, and with the termite drills, quite frankly. And then, little things like raptors zipping around. They could do a little bit of damage here and there if they need to. So I didn't need them. And I'm not a strong enough player where I can look 2 or 3 turns ahead and guess where my opponent will have moved to. Certainly not at the moment, to figure out like zoning and why am I deep striking if I'm basically deep striking in my own deployment zone on turn 2 or turn 3. That's a missed opportunity. I've wasted at least 1 turn of movement, potentially an apoplectic frenzy. I haven't quite developed that gut feeling for when to do these things in 9th edition, because it's a different game, smaller board, more terrain, strategic reserves, a lot of things going on. So look for those units which maybe are doing a job that other units are already doing, and they aren't bringing too much for your list, okay? So for me it's the Terminators, for you it could be Raptors or something else, right? And also make sure that you're not missing anything important. You're going to need OBSEC troops, you're going to need something to hold the backfield, like your home objective and things like that. So a cheap unit that's going to do actions for you, deploy scramblers or raise the banners. Make sure your list has those things in it. As you're condensing it and taking things out, make sure those aren't the things that you're removing, because you need them. Certainly right now with our limited secondaries, deploy scramblers is always going to be one we have to consider. It's not an auto take, but we have to consider it. So that's the 5th thing. You're doing your error check, right? Your quality control on the list. You're making sure everything has a place and everything is in its place. So the next thing is similar to that, but not quite the same. It's where the weaknesses of the list are. Is it, lacking small arms fire? Is it lacking melter or anti-tank? Is it lacking a transport option? Is it lacking board presence? Is it gonna, are you just running 2,000 points of berserkers and HQs, and therefore guardsmen are gonna have a field day just blowing them away as they move up the field? Like, what is the weakness? Put yourself on the other side of the table. How are you going to deal with your army? Right? What would you do? So you look for the weaknesses in the armor. As an opponent, what can they do that will quickly tear your list apart? For me, one of the weaknesses I always had was the transport. We need them, but rhinos, even when you pop smoke and you use cover, they're just too fragile. And this is where the whole termite discussion started making more sense to me, and I got convinced, because that was a weakness in my list which In 8th edition, I'd use the Storm Eagle because I'd buff it up to -2 with the Benediction of Darkness and its native -1. You can't do that anymore because you can't go plus or minus more than one either way. And just, yeah, the smaller boards have made flyers a little less efficient. And then the Land Raider Achilles was another option I used to really good success actually, right at the end of 8. Even as expensive as it was, T8, 4-up invuln, 18 wounds at the time. It was brutal. Especially 2 of them with KHORNE and then 2 Whirlwind Scorpiuses behind them. No one liked that list and no one saw it coming. But yeah, Land Raiders just aren't worth it anymore. The Achilles is still good, but at 380 points and you're only getting a 5-up invuln, no, it's nice, but it needs about 50 points shaved off. Its abilities are fine, its weapon options are fine. I like its weapon. I prefer its weapons now. It's more offensive, but less defensive, and that's what I want in my transports. So that's a weakness I noticed and had to struggle to answer, and now I've got my answer with the drills. And of course, I'm sure they'll jump up 50 points before long, and then I'll be pissed. So that was the 6th point. Look for your weaknesses. Put your army down on the other side of the table and look where it's going to fall apart quickly and how you can then remedy that. The 7th thing is what sort of army is going to do well against your list, right? If you're going very elite, you're going, say, heavy on Demon Engines, Lord Discordant, you've got these high price World Eaters models, triple Lord of Skulls or something. What armies or what archetypes are going to be successful against that? Obviously anything with plenty of OBSEC is going to, triple Lord of Skulls is a hell of a fun list, but if you've just got wave after wave of Hormagaunts or Guardsmen or any other chaff infantry that's just happy to just keep dying and scoring 5, 10, 15 points every turn for your opponent, killing them ain't getting you nothing, and you haven't got the board presence necessary to counter that relentless tide of things that don't care to die. So you need to make sure your list can handle those things or be defensive, has the tools to deal with them, right? Do you lack anti-air? It's not that was a real big deal in 8th edition for certainly for the Eldar flyer spam for a long time, but you want some option for you. It doesn't have to be dedicated anti-air, but you need something that you need shooting. You need volume of fire shooting with a couple of points of AP, heavy bolters, chain cannons, auto cannons, these sort of things, or raptors, things that can charge flyers and chip a few wounds off every turn with their movement. These are things you need to be able to cover. You need to cover those bases. Make sure you have small arms fire and anti-tank and combat, and how much OBSEC have you got? That's why I'm running 4 squads. I don't think it's quite enough, but I'm hoping it will do it if I play right. Ideally, I'd like either Marines or Cultists to be worth fucking taking, quite frankly. But they're not at the moment. As much as I wish Cultists certainly could work, because they, is that just cheap unit, but they're not. But Berserkers are great OBSEC units. They will come and they will steal the objective from pretty much anything in the game. Certainly any other objective secured, if they get the charge and get to fight first. Nothing surviving that's OBSEC, right? Short of very bad luck. So the 7th thing you're going to do is look at what kind of opponent's archetype, I guess, is going to succeed against your list. Can you handle hordes or can you handle taking out those things? The last thing, and it's related to that, is what in the meta it can handle. Previously you're looking at archetypes, the horde list, an elite spam list, things like that, right? Flyer spam, things that many armies can do, and you have to prepare your list as a take all comers list to deal with flyers and with T8 models and with towards, you have to have an answer for that, right? But now we're looking at particular units. If you face off against Mortarion, can you kill him? Or do you have a plan to escape him and win on points, which is probably the better answer for us right now. Not that you're going to see Mortarion, certainly at RTTs and stuff, and he's always there at a GT. So Raiders, Dark Eldar, Drakari Raiders, right now, a couple months time we'll see, but right now, how are we dealing with that? I know how I'm planning on, if I ever have to deal with them, or certainly as a spam, it's that volume -1, preferably 2 or 3 damage. That's why I really like Predators again. Predators are incredibly efficient. The autocannon heavy bolter with kill shot will take out, I think, 3 Predators with Kharn buffing them, can take out 5 Raiders in 1 round of shooting on average. So you say 4 on a bad day, which isn't bad. For the points cost, no, it's not a good trade in points because Raiders are so efficient. But if you've got other tools that can deal with what spills out before they can get into you, then it's a necessary thing. However, quad heavy bolters, 12 shots, potential for rerolls, strength 5, which is fine, -1 and 2 damage. Pretty much what you need. Auto cannons, like on the Hellblades. These are all things which are useful against anyone, but particularly useful against Raiders, for instance. Some other ones that aren't as common, but are kind of like boogeymen that we think we're going to face, and I think you should always be prepared. 20 Necron Warriors. That's like a nightmare. I hated facing Necrons certainly when I first started playing, because it's a psychological thing, and it just, I left 3 alive of that blob, and now there's 17. It's like it just breaks you. Certainly when you're not used to it. But you want to have the tools to eliminate, preferably in the shooting phase, but a combination of shooting or fight phase. We could do it in the fight phase easy, and I think I don't want to say we're a good army to face Necrons, but I'm less scared of them at the moment than I was mid-8, I'll be honest with you. The changes to them, we're not talking about like the Silent King lists and stuff, I'm talking about the Necron Warrior blob. I'm more confident against it now because I know how many Berserkers it's going to take and how much CP to spend to kill 20 Warriors if I can make the charge, right? These are things, in fact, we should be doing for homework in a way. When a new hot unit comes out, how many Berserkers do I need? How many CP do I need to kill this at its most efficient, with all its buffs and synergies and, all the things that will make this unit hot? How many Berserkers do I need? That's actually a pretty good idea for a video, I think. Good job, Jamie. But yeah, that is something, I've got my spreadsheet set up and that, and I try and run that, and I don't always remember, but it tends to be, for some of the heavy units, it's normally something like, 8 or 9 Berserkers with 3 CP, Kharn and an Exalted Champion will kill anything. Anything on the table. Short of a Warhound, one of the Knights, the Forge World Knights, and a Mortarion. You have to throw like 3 extra Berserkers on, something like that, for those units, basically. But 8 Berserkers with all that resource investment, that's another 200 points in characters and 3 CP, and you're hoping you're not getting interrupted. So there's also a tactical investment as well, making sure your opponent's depleted on CP and stuff. But 8 Berserkers, is a nice number. I don't run them in units of 8, but it's good to know, right? If you can do those numbers in your head, you can adjust accordingly. Well, if I send 2 squads in and he doesn't have doesn't have CP to interrupt, I know that unit's gone. It's gone. So those things you should have in the back of your mind, because you will eventually, if you go to enough tournaments, you will face 20 Warriors, you will face Mortarion, you will face a Knight Magira, whatever it's called. you will face these units. And if you know when you step up to the table, you see that model sitting at the side, you're like, okay, alright, I just got to make sure I save 3 CP for round 3 when I'm probably going to make combat. I got you. We're done. You can kill 2 squads. As long as I get 1 squad in there with the Exalted Champion, your big centerpiece, your thing that you're proud of and that you've obviously spent a lot of time painting, you're removing it, because my squad of Berserkers, my 94 squad of Berserkers, 94 point squad of Berserkers, is wrecking your shit. So yeah, so that's my last sort of check, my last validation of the list, is can it handle most of these things? It's going to be very hard to find a World Eaters list that will handle everything, but we can handle most of them, I think anyway. But it all does come down to, you know, your opponent's skill, the terrain on the battle, who goes first, you know, how do the dice roll? Don't never blame the dice, but they will impact things. If you're failing your charges, you're probably not going to win, quite frankly. And so, you know, you always want to make sure your synergies from earlier in the steps are doing what they can to make sure, whether you're spending points on icons or getting violent urgency or using transports that are going to survive to get you close enough so you've got a 3-inch charge instead of a 7-inch charge, right? So these are things I consider every time I write a list. You know, like the first 2 or 3 steps are normally done for me because, you know, I've always got, on my phone I've got a whole bunch of lists. I need to delete some actually. Okay, it looks like I've been talking for almost 40 minutes on this subject. This is meant to be like a 10-minute video, but alright, we've got some information. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. I hope just maybe a little something you can make you think, okay, yeah, I could try that. That sounds like something that might help me out with my next game. Hopefully. If not, well, I don't know why the hell you stuck around this long. But yeah, so thanks for watching. I do recommend joining the Discord. The link is in the description. Great group of people. We're always having a laugh. You know, we get some memes going on. We're always like trying to organise stuff. You know, like TTS games, like the TTS stuff I talked about earlier. You know, going on, and you know, people hooking up in there and like having games, talking about lists, talking about lore, rumours. You know, it's just like anywhere else, but it's a pretty wholesome bunch. There's no toxic shit in there. There's some humour. There's some humour, which we're adults. Hopefully we're all adults. But there's nothing. You know, I really am proud of everyone in the community. Certainly who I talk to on a regular basis. In the Discord, Facebook and stuff. Generally a really good bunch. And make me proud. But yeah. So I do recommend finding a resource of people you can talk to about your list. Bouncing ideas off. It's such a great way, because when you're just yourself on your phone, you're only working within your constraints, your own experience and knowledge. The world is a bigger place than our brain. I mean, you know, we have to be careful with our solipsism. You know, there's other people, other minds who experience World Eaters in a different way to us. Like, how many people do you know who run an identical list to you? As a World Eater, probably not many. You know, how we argue about whether we should take 5, 8 or 10 Berserkers. Should we have a Power Fist or a Lightning Claw or a Chain Axe on the side on the Aspiring Champion? Is Kharn all that great? Dark Apostle, Exalted Champion. We've all got our own thoughts and experience on these things, and we can all learn from each other, and I think that's the most important step, quite frankly. It certainly is for me in developing my list, and I think I've got a good list. I need to be a better player with it and get experience, and that's what I'm planning to do. So yeah, hopefully you can figure out something like that for yourself and get some success. I want to see World Eaters on the table in tournaments across the world. I want our names on Goonhammer. I want GW to see what the hell's going on here. This bottom tier army suddenly everywhere, and we haven't given them a model in 24 years or 20, no, like 21, 22 years since Berserkers. You know, I know we got KHORNE a few years ago. You know, let's get our names out there. Let's make some waves, right? Okay, folks, I'm gonna stop jabbering now. Till next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill main deck.